beautiful souls. Welcome back to another episode of Energize Your Passion. I'm Sunshine, your host, your cheerleader, and your guide on this journey towards a life full of energy, growth, and passion. Today, we're talking about something that we all know we should do, but often struggle with stepping out of our comfort zones. Now, let me start with this. The comfort zone, always cozy, is predictable, and honestly, it feels safe. But guess what? Nothing grows there. So today we're going to explore why stepping out of that zone is not just essential, it's exhilarating. I'll share some tips, inspiring stories, and actionable steps to help you embrace growth with open arms. So grab your favorite drink, get comfy, well, not too comfy. Let's energize your passion for growth. Ready? Let's go. Segment 1: Why the comfort zone holds you back. Let's sit with this for a moment, friends. Why does fear have such a tight grip on us when it comes to leaving the comfort zone? It's because fear thrives on familiarity. Your brain is wired to prioritize safety and predictability. It's what kept our ancestors alive. But in today's world, safety doesn't mean hiding from predators. It means staying in situations where we feel in control. But here's the kicker: staying in control doesn't mean you're happy or fulfilled. It just means you're not rocking the boat. And let's be honest, boats are meant to sail, not sit stagnant in an arbor. Think about this. What is the cost of staying comfortable? Maybe it's missing out on a new career that could light your fire, like James's story. Or maybe it's robbing yourself of the sense of accomplishment that Maria felt after finishing her marathon. Staying comfortable often means settling for less than what you're capable of. Now let's talk about fear. Fear isn't always a bad thing. In fact, it can be a useful tool. It's like a spotlight shining on the areas where you have the most potential for growth. The problem comes when we let fear paralyze us instead of propel us. I had a listener, Danny, write in last month. He shared how fear of judgment stopped him from starting his own podcast for years. He'll record episodes but never publish them. One day, a friend said something that stuck with him. Danny, you're worrying about people who might judge you, but what about the people who need to hear your voice? That one question flipped the script. Today, Danny has a thriving podcast, and he's inspiring others to share their stories too. Fear will always be there. It's part of being human. The goal isn't to eliminate fear, it's to stop letting it call the shots. Let's take a moment to compare the comfort zone with the growth zone. Picture this: the comfort zone is like a cozy living room. You've got your favorite blanket, a cup of tea, and the same movie playing on repeat. It feels nice for a while, but after the 50th time watching the same movie, you're bored out of your mind. The growth zone, on the other hand, is like stepping out into the wild. At first, it feels overwhelming. The air is crisp, the terrain is unfamiliar, and you're not quite sure what's around the next bend. But here's the magic: the wild is where the adventure happens. It's where you discover new things about yourself, build resilience, and experience the thrill of the unknown. Now think about your life. Are you wrapped up in the blanket of the familiar, or are you daring to step into the wild? And if you're not quite ready to step into the wild yet, that's okay. We're here to take this journey together. Stepping out of your comfort zone doesn't mean you have to take a giant leap. Sometimes it's the small, consistent steps that make the biggest difference. I want to challenge you to do something small this week that feels just a little outside of your comfort zone. Maybe it's starting a conversation with someone new, trying a different workout class, or even saying yes to an invitation you normally decline. And here's a little trick: reframe the fear. Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" ask, "What if this turns out to be amazing?" It's all about shifting your mindset from one of limitation to one of possibility. One of the best ways to step out of your comfort zone is to visualize what's on the other side. Close your eyes for a moment, unless you're driving, of course, and imagine yourself a year from now. You've taken that leap, you've faced the fear. What does your life look like? Maybe you're in a career that excites you. Maybe you've completed a personal goal you once thought was impossible, like Maria running her marathon. Maybe you're simply more confident and fulfilled because you've proven to yourself that you're capable of more than you realized. When you focus on the rewards, it becomes easier to take that first step. After all, what's more exciting, staying in the same place or growing into the best version of yourself? Here's something I want you to take away from this segment. Leaving your comfort zone isn't about abandoning safety. It's about redefining what safety means. Real safety is knowing you can handle whatever comes your way because you've built resilience and trust in yourself. When James left his job of 10 years, he wasn't abandoning safety. He was creating a new kind of safety, the safety of living in alignment with his purpose. When Maria signed up for the 5K, she wasn't giving up comfort. She was choosing the comfort that comes from knowing she's capable of more than she thought. So the next time fear whispers in your ear, "Stay where you are, it's safer here," I want you to respond with this: "Thanks for the concern, but I'm choosing to grow because you deserve to see what's possible beyond the walls of your comfort zone." Friends, this journey isn't about perfection. It's about progress. You don't have to have it all figured out, and you don't have to take massive leaps all at once. What matters is that you take the first step, no matter how small. So let me ask you, what's one thing you're holding back on because it feels scary or uncomfortable? Write it down, say it out loud, and then commit to taking one small step towards it this week. You've got this. I believe in you, and I can't wait to hear about the amazing things you're doing when you leave the comfort zone behind. Segment 2: The Science of Growth: Why It Feels Uncomfortable but Necessary. Let's dive a little deeper into why this discomfort is so universal. Think about the last time you did something truly new or challenging. Remember that feeling. Maybe your stomach was in knots, your palms got sweaty, and your mind raced with all the what ifs. That's not just your imagination, it's your brain doing its job. Our brains have one primary directive: keep us alive. And anything unfamiliar gets flagged as potentially dangerous. It's an ancient survival mechanism, one that worked great when we were dodging predators or surviving harsh conditions. But in today's world, those same signals can stop us from taking risks that lead to growth. Let's reframe that feeling of discomfort. Instead of seeing it as a red flag. Try to see it as a yellow light, a signal that you're approaching something important. It's not a stop sign, it's an invitation to proceed with courage. Now, here's where things get fascinating. Our brains are incredibly adaptable thanks to something called neuroplasticity. That's a fancy term for the brain's ability to rewire itself. Every time you do something new, you're literally creating new connections in your brain. It's like building a bridge where there wasn't one before. The first time you step out of your comfort zone, it's tough. That bridge is shaky and you're not sure if it'll hold. But the more you cross it, the stronger it becomes. Eventually, what once felt terrifying starts to feel natural. Take Anthony's story as an example. His first presentation wasn't perfect. He admitted he stumbled over his words and felt like everyone could see his nerves. But guess what? He got through it. And when he did, his brains recognized, hey, we survived. Maybe this isn't so bad after all. Now public speaking is second nature to him. That's neuroplastic in action. Did you know that stepping out of your comfort zone can actually feel good once you push past the initial fear? When you achieve something new, your brain releases dopamine, often called the feel good hormone. It's your brain way of saying, great job, let's do that again. This is why small wins are so important. They create a positive feedback loop that motivates you to keep going. For Tasha, joining that first club in her new city probably felt awkward at first, but when she made her first friend or had her first full outing, she got that dopamine hit. It's what kept her going until she built an amazing new life for herself. So, if you're feeling stuck, start by aiming for small wins. Each one builds momentum and rewires your brain to associate growth with positive feelings. Let's think about nature for a moment. When a seed grows into a tree, it doesn't happen without some struggle. The seed has to push through the soil, stretch towards the sun, and weather the elements. Growth in nature is never without challenges, and the same is true for us. Discomfort isn't a sign that you're on the wrong path. It's a sign that you're on the right one. Imagine if Anthony had let his fear of public speaking stop him, or if Tasha had stayed home instead of putting herself out there in a new city. They would have missed out on the incredible growth and joy that comes from those experiences. One of our listeners, Sarah, shared a story with me that I think fits perfectly here. Sarah was terrified of heights, but always dreamed of ziplining. Last summer, she decided to face her fear and give it a try. She said the moment she stepped off the platform, her heart was pounding. But by the time she reached the other side, she felt like she could conquer the world. That experience taught her that fear is temporary, but the pride of overcoming it lasts forever. Here's another truth about growth. It's not a straight line. You might take one step forward and two steps back, and that's okay. Progress often feels messy and imperfect, but it's still progress. Think about Tasha's journey. She said the first month in her new city was hard. She probably had days when she wanted to pack up and go back to what was familiar, but she didn't. She pushed through the tough moments because she trusted that the discomfort was temporary and the growth would be worth it. So if you're in a place right now where you're feeling stuck or frustrated, take heart. You're not failing, you're evolving. Growth often looks like struggle before it starts to feel like success. Let me give you a simple framework for stepping into growth. I call it the 3 C's: courage, commitment, and curiosity. Number one, courage. This is your starting point. It takes courage to face fear head on and take that first step, no matter how small. Number two, commitment. Growth doesn't happen overnight. You need to commit to the process, even when it gets tough. Number three, curiosity. Instead of focusing on what could go wrong, get curious about what could go right. Ask yourself, what might I learn from this? This framework has helped me and so many others turn discomfort into a stepping stone for growth. Remember, it's not about eliminating fear. It's about finding the courage to move forward anyway. As we wrap up this segment, I want to leave you with a question. What's one area of your life where you've been avoiding discomfort? Maybe it's a new career, a relationship, or a personal goal. Whatever it is, I challenge you to take one small step towards it this week. And when that familiar discomfort shows up, I want you to welcome it. Say, hey, I see you. I know you're here because I'm growing. Because on the other side of that discomfort is a version of you who is braver, stronger, and more fulfilled. You've got this, friends. Keep pushing, keep evolving, and keep proving to yourself just how amazing you truly are. Segment 3: How to take the first step. All right, friends, it's time to roll up our sleeves and dive into the how. We have explored why the comfort zone holds you back and why that squirmy, uncomfortable feeling is actually a good thing. But let's be real, knowing isn't enough. You've got to take action. So, how do you start? Let's break it down into steps that feel manageable and, dare I say, even exciting. Number one, start small. The power of bite-sized wins. I know. The ideal of stepping out of your comfort zone can feel overwhelming. But here's the secret: you don't have to leap, you just have to take one small step. Think of it like dipping your toe in the water before diving in. Karen's story is such a great example of this. Networking used to be her biggest fear. She walked into a room and immediately freeze up, convinced everyone else was more confident or had more to offer. But instead of forcing herself to master networking overnight, Karen set a simple goal: attend one event and talk to just 3 people. That's it. And guess what? Those 3 conversations gave her the confidence to go to the next event and talk to 5 people, then 10. Today, Karen says networking feels almost natural, something she never thought she'll say. Her journey started with one small, intentional step. So, what's your equivalent of Karen's 3 conversations? Maybe it's sending that first email, signing up for that class, or even just writing down your goal. Small steps build momentum, and momentum builds confidence. Number 2, surround yourself with growth oriented people. Here's another truth about stepping out of your comfort zone: it's a whole lot easier when you're not doing it alone. The people you surround yourself with can either hold you back or lift you up. Jared's story is a perfect example of this. He wanted to challenge himself physically, but wasn't sure where to start. Hiking seemed like a good option, but the idea of tackling trails alone felt daunting. So Jared joined a local hiking group. Being around people who love adventure made all the difference. They encouraged him, cheered him on, and introduced him to hikes he never would have tried on his own. Here's the thing: growth is contagious. When you're around people who are pushing their limits, it inspires you to do the same. So think about your own circle. Are the people in your life encouraging you to step out of your comfort zone, or are they holding you back? If it's the latter, it might be time to seek out a new tribe. Number three, celebrate every single win. Let's talk about celebrating wins. So often we focus on the big milestones, the promotion, the marathon finish, the final product. But what about all the little victories along the way? Celebrating small wins isn't just a nice thing to do, it's a crucial part of the growth process. Why? Because every time you acknowledge your progress, you reinforce the belief that you're capable of achieving your goals. And that belief is what keeps you moving forward. Let me share a story from another listener, Emily. Emily had always dreamed of learning to play the guitar, but kept putting it off because it seemed too hard. One day she decided to start with just 5 minutes of practice a day. After her first week, she celebrated by treating herself to her favorite coffee. When she learned her first chord, she called her best friend to share the news. Those little celebrations kept her motivated, and now she's playing full songs. So don't wait for the big moment to pat yourself on the back. Every step you take, no matter how small, is worth celebrating. Buy yourself a treat, share your progress with a friend, or even just take a moment to say, I'm proud of myself. Those celebrations fuel your journey. Number four, visualize success. See it before you achieve it. Here's a little tip that can make taking the first step feel less intimidating. Visualization. Studies have shown that when you vividly imagine yourself achieving a goal, your brain starts to believe it's possible. It's like giving yourself a sneak preview of success. Take a moment right now to close your eyes, unless you're driving, of course, and picture yourself taking that first step. What does it look like? How does it feel? Maybe you see yourself walking into a networking event, introducing yourself with confidence, and having a great conversation. Or maybe you picture yourself lacing up your sneakers and heading out for that first run. The clearer your vision, the more real it becomes. And when it feels real in your mind, it's easier to take action in real life. Number five, create accountability. Share your goals with someone. Here's a little hack of staying motivated. Tell someone about your goal. Accountability is a powerful thing. When you share your intentions with someone else, it creates a sense of responsibility. You don't want to let them or yourself down. One listener, Sam, shared how he used this strategy to tackle his fears of starting his own business. He told his best friend about his ideal and asked them to check in with him every week. Knowing that someone was rooting for him and holding him accountable gave him the push he needed to keep going. Today, Sam's business is thriving, and he credited that initial accountability for getting him started. Number six, embrace the what if mindset. Finally, let's talk about flipping the script on fear. Instead of asking, what if I fail? Ask, what if it turns out to be amazing? This mindset shift can make all the difference. It's not about ignoring the possibility of failure. It's about focusing on the possibility of success. Remember, every great achievement starts with a what if. So, what's your what if? What's the amazing thing that could happen if you take that first step out of your comfort zone? Hold that vision. Let it be the fuel that propels you forward. Friends, taking the first step is often the hardest part of any journey, but it's also the most important. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to be willing to take that one step. So, what's your next step? Write it down, visualize it, share it with someone, and then, most importantly, take action. Because of the life you're dreaming of is waiting for you just outside your comfort zone. And remember, every step forward is a victory, no matter how small. I'm so proud of you for showing up, for listening, and for choosing to grow. You've got this. Segment 4, Transformation in Action. This segment is like a warm hug for my soul because it's all about you, your courage, your growth, and your incredible transformations. Every time I hear one of your stories, I'm reminded of how resilient and inspiring this community is. It's proof that no matter how messy or imperfect the journey may seem, stepping out of your comfort zone can lead to something beautiful. Let's start with Ellie's story because, wow, how it hit home for so many of us. Ellie always dreamed of starting a blog. She had ideas, she had passion, but there was one thing standing in her way: fear. Fear that no one would read it. Fear that people might judge her, or worse, that they won't care at all. But one day, Ellie decided enough was enough. She wrote her first post, her heart racing as she hovered over the publish button. And when she finally clicked it, she braced herself for crickets. Instead, she got over 50 views in just one day. Can you imagine the boost that gave her? It wasn't just about the numbers, it was about realizing that her voice mattered. Today, Ellie's blog has thousands of followers. She's sharing her story, inspiring others, and building a community she never dreamed was possible. And it all started with that one brave moment of hitting publish. Ellie's story is such a powerful reminder that you don't have to wait until you're ready or until everything is perfect to take action. There's a quote I love to say: start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Ellie didn't have all the answers when she started her blog, but she had courage, and that was enough to get her started. So let me ask you, what's your publish button? What's that one small but significant step you've been afraid to take? Maybe it's sending an email, signing up for a class, or even just sharing your idea with someone you trust. Whatever it is, I challenge you. Take that step today because, as Ellie's story shows us, sometimes the thing we fear most is the very thing that will set us free. Now let's talk about Mike. His story is one of rediscovery, and it's just as inspiring as Ellie's. For years, Mike stayed in a toxic relationship. He wasn't happy, but the thought of leaving and being alone was even scarier. Can you relate to that? That feeling of being stuck? Not because you want to be, but because the alternative feels uncertain. One day, Mike had a realization. His happiness mattered. His peace mattered. And he wanted to grow. And he had to let go of what was holding him back. So he made the incredible brave decision to end the relationship. It wasn't easy, but Mike said it was the best decision he've ever made. And here's the best part. In the process of letting go, Mike rediscovered his love for painting, a passion he had buried under years of unhappiness. Today, he spends his weekends creating art that brings him joy and fulfillment. He's not just surviving anymore, he's thriving. Mike's story reminds us that growth often requires letting go. Whether it's a toxic relationship, a dead-end job, or even just a limiting belief, sometimes we have to release what no longer serves us to make room for what does. Think about your own life. Is there something or someone that's holding you back? It's not easy to let go, I know. But as Mike's story shows, the freedom and happiness on the other side are worth every tear, every tough decision, and every moment of doubt. Ellie and Mike's story are incredible, but they're not the only ones. Let me share a couple more quick shout outs that came through this week. First, we have Lauren, who faced her fear of heights by signing up for a rock climbing class. She said the first time she reached the top of the wall, she felt like she could conquer anything. And then there's Raj, who finally started the podcast he've been dreaming about for years. He told me he recorded his first episode on his phone in his living room. And while it wasn't perfect, it felt amazing to finally start. Lauren and Raj, if you're listening, I'm so proud of you. I know everyone else here is too. Your bravery is a spark that lights the way for others. What I love most about these stories is how universal they are. Ella's fear of putting herself out there, Mike's struggle to let go, Lauren's battle with height, and Raj's hesitation to start. They're all different, but they're all rooted in the same thing, the courage to step into the unknown. And when we hear these stories, something magical happens. We see pieces of ourselves in them. We realize we're not alone in our fears or our struggles. And most importantly, we see what's possible when we choose growth over comfort. Friends, there's one thing I want you to take away from this segment. It's this: your story matters. Whether you're just starting to step out of your comfort zone or you're already miles into your journey, your experience has the power to inspire others. So if you've been holding back from sharing your story, consider this your invitation to do so. I would love to hear from you. What's one step you've taken recently that you're proud of? Send me an email, drop me a message on social media, or leave a comment. Let's celebrate your growth together because it's worth celebrating. Ellie, Mike, Lauren, Raj, you are all rock stars. And to everyone else listening, let these stories be a reminder that growth is possible for you too. It doesn't matter where you start or how long it takes. What matters is that you take that first step and keep going. So, what's your next step? What's your story? I can't wait to hear it, cheer you on, and maybe even share it right here on the podcast. You've got this, my friends. Keep growing, keep shining, and keep proving to yourself just how amazing you are. Segment 5: Putting it all together. Wow, friends, what a journey this episode has been. Before we call it a wrap, let's take a moment to bring it all together. Sometimes the pieces feel overwhelming when we're in the middle of things, but when you step back and see how they connect, it's like looking at a beautiful puzzle. You realize every piece has its purpose. Number 1, the comfort zone is a trap. First, let's not forget the comfort zone's sneaky nature. It feels cozy, doesn't it? Like your favorite blanket on a rainy day. But just like a blanket can't keep you dry in a storm, the comfort zone can't shield you from the challenges or opportunities that life throws your way. Remember James from segment 1? He spent 10 years in a job he hated because it was comfortable. But when he finally stepped out, he discovered his true potential and found fulfillment running his own business. The comfort zone isn't safety, it's stagnation. Growth, on the other hand, is where the magic happens. Take a moment now to think about one area in your life where you might be too comfortable. What would happen if you stepped out of that zone? What could you gain? Hold on to that thought as we move forward. Number two, discomfort is your growth signal. We've said it before, and I'll say it again. Discomfort is not your enemy, it's a sign you're growing. Just like Tasha's loneliness when she moved to a new city in segment 2. Those uncomfortable feelings often pave the way for something amazing. Her story reminds us that even when growth feels isolating or scary at first, it's worth the effort. Let's flip our perspective on discomfort. Instead of dreading it, let's welcome it as a signal that we're stretching beyond our limits. Think of it like a workout for your soul. Yes, it might be hard at the moment, but every step strengthens you for the next challenge. Number three, small steps lead to big changes. Ah, the beauty of small steps. How often do we convince ourselves that change has to be massive to matter? But Karen's story from segment 3 showed us that one small act, like talking to 3 people at a networking event, can snowball into transformative growth. So, what's your small step going to be this week? Maybe it's signing up for a class, having a difficult conversation, or simply saying yes to something you've normally shied away from. Whatever it is, remember this: you don't have to conquer the mountain in one day. Just take the first step, and the rest will follow. Number 4, celebrate wins and find your cheerleaders. Lastly, let's talk about celebration and community. Growth isn't something you have to tackle alone, like Jared joining a hiking group or Ellie sharing her blog with the world. Surrounding yourself with support can make all the difference. And don't forget to celebrate along the way. Whether it's reaching the top of a rock climbing wall like Lauren in segment 4, or hitting publish on your first blog post like Ellie, every step forward deserves recognition. These moments remind you of your progress and keep your momentum alive. So here's my challenge to you. Pick one thing, just one, that takes you out of your comfort zone this week. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. Small is mighty, and when you do it, I want to hear about it. Email me at energizeyourpassion.com or DM me on social media. Share your wins, your struggles, your aha moments, because your story has the power to inspire someone else. And who knows, maybe your story will be the one I share in a future episode. If this episode spoke to you, if it gave you a spark of courage or a dose of motivation, I'll be so grateful if you could give us a 5-star rating. Share this episode with a friend who might need a little push to step out of their comfort zone. Together, we can create a ripple effect of growth, positivity, and passion. Thank you for being here, for listening, and most importantly, for showing up for yourself. Growth is a choice you make every day. And by choosing to listen to this podcast, you've already taken an important step. Until next time, friends, stay passionate, keep shining bright, and remember, the best version of you is just one step outside of your comfort zone. Let's keep growing together. This is Sunshine, signing off.